Ooh. Okay, this is bound to happen, people. I'm going to stop talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! For this and the next 3 episodes or so, and start talking to you about Asperger's, something I've been wanting to do for a while now. Now, a lot of you are wondering, though, how does this relate to Yu-Gi-Oh? Well, in my case, it kind of does, because it had a lot to do with the fact, I think it had almost everything to do with the fact that I've been playing this game for like 10 years. But it also had a lot to do with the fact that I've stuck through everything through thin and thin, and also had to do with the friends that I made, as well as, also, believe it or not, had a lot to do with my growth, in terms of not just with Yu-Gi-Oh, but just in life in general. But, anywho, rewind to I'd say almost right before I started playing, when I first moved to Winchester. Up to that point, I've been doing really bad in school, both socially, grade-wise. It's a miracle I was passing every year, because I was diagnosed with ADD, but in my personal opinion, this was ADD is the world's biggest freaking cop-out when it comes to diagnostics, or whatever you want to call them. And of course, of course I'm going to be distracted everywhere. Of course I'm going to be in my own little world. Ooh, look, a squirrel, But I was really in love with squirrels at the time, but that's a whole other story. And in all seriousness, though, it was really difficult for me to focus in class, but ADD had nothing to do with it. It had a little bit to do with it, but it had to do with the environment itself. And also the fact that I had a million things going in my head at once. And I still do it this day, in a way. It's just nowadays I've kind of learned to keep it more repressed, but that comes with adulthood. But then when I moved here to Winchester, Virginia, and Frederick County school systems evaluated me in a better way, so to speak, and I finally got to go to, I finally got put in the special classes, so to speak, But I didn't get diagnosed with Asperger's until my freshman year of high school. This would be a couple of years after I started with Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, the thing is, though, is that part of the reason why Yu-Gi-Oh! Became such a big escape for me is that it gave me a good time for me to exercise more than anything else, it helped me to develop my cognitive skills in terms of both, in terms of adjusting with the times, in terms of trying new things, When it came to all these different types of cognitive skills, it all started with Yu-Gi-Oh! And again, Yu-Gi-Oh! Helped. It's amazing how it did. Whew. And again, but about the friends that I made, though, by which I mean, funny enough, three out of four of my teammates all have Asperger's. My friend Sean, aka Superman Cecil Murphy, he is the normal one out of all of us, as he likes to always say. But again, the most serious Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist in the world, Asperger's, none of your concern. Asperger's, that disembodied voice that pulled me off a camera from the first episode of First Turn Bullshit. Asperger's, in his words, we attract each other. But yeah, though, some of the more prominent things of Asperger's for me, though, include things like humming in public. I know that sounds kind of weird, but it's I almost always have music going on in my head sometimes. Also, it's the way I tend to deal with people. It's I can't. It's very difficult for me to look at people in the eye, and it's especially which kind of comes off as really weird. I'm not in a way of I did anything bad. It's just the way I just talk with people in general. Not only that, but I also do a lot of pacing also whenever I'm having a conversation with somebody, and not only that, but I'm also always looking at the ground a lot. It's I almost never look straight ahead of me. And it's funny because it's because of that whenever I see people slip on something, I'm always thinking to myself, how did they not notice that? And I remember, because I'm the only person who looks at the ground when they're walking. But those are just a few quirks. But another thing is that I wouldn't necessarily is something that actually my driving instructor pointed out, is that I have and this is something that's actually kind of hindered me a little bit in Yu-Gi-Oh! Part of the reason why I'm not super as good as some people is my my processing ability with my mind. There's sometimes where I don't necessarily process things very quickly, where I take things too literally before I realize that, like, what was actually being said, like, what the person saying that thing to me actually meant. And I mean, that problem has, like, lessened more and more over the years. But I mean, again, I think that's all part about growing up. But good God, man, elementary school, that was horrible. Those were some really horrible years for me. But middle school was kind of worse. But that was a given though. Seventh, that's again driving instructor, as you said, 7th, 8th, and 9th, worst years you're gonna possibly have at school, or the most difficult years. But other than that, though, I mean, quite frankly, I think you're probably going to meet a lot of Aspies who also play Yu-Gi-Oh! Aspies. Thank you, Mary and Max. But, geez, yeah, that's a movie kind of inspiration for doing this in the first place. And, that's me. I'm an Aspie. I play Yu-Gi-Oh! I've been playing Yu-Gi-Oh! For 10 years almost because of it. But we'll get more into that in the future videos. In the meantime, Evil Midget, out.